Hey everyone, welcome back to Crime Weekly News. I'm Derek Levasseur.
And I'm Stephanie Harlow.
Welcome back to another episode. We have a topic to talk about today that really everybody's talking about, so we wanted to cover it too. But before we get into that, real quick, Criminal Coffee merch, I'm rocking it. If you're wanting to get it, criminalcoffeeco.com, check it out. The second thing, which is way more important than that, although this is a relatively new segment that we're doing, it is part of the Crime Weekly ecosystem now, right? And we just, I think it was today, actually, as we're recording this, which is the 15th, right? The 15th, we just passed 200,000 subscribers.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you so much. Big round of applause. I have not forgotten. I know that when we first started this channel, I said, oh, if we get to 200,000, I'll wear a dinosaur costume. I already have it. It's in my living room right now. It's the inflatable one, because the one that we were talking about at the time, which was like the roller skating one, doesn't even exist anymore. But I will throw that on. I will take a photo for it.
Are you going to put the roller skates on?
I don't have roller skates.
I can get you roller skates.
I know you could, but I mean, that's logistically, it's a nightmare. I mean, I wouldn't mind if I had them, I'd throw them on, but I was going to throw on the dinosaur costume with a sign. Just let's go with that.
But that's not what you promised. You cannot set unrealistic expectations for people.
So I got to go buy roller skates.
No,
and then what is it going to be, like a video?
Why don't you just go to like a roller skating rink, rent the roller skates, go in the rink.
So here's the problem.
What?
I'm pretty sure there's only one place around here, but I'm pretty sure they won't let me wear the suit while I'm out there for insurance reasons.
Let me talk to them.
Oh,
they'll let you wear the suit. Just
we'll
give me
it a
5 minutes.
If I can do it, great.
All right.
But Stephanie's not going to have to be there when I get arrested for wearing a dinosaur costume.
We can do it this weekend, man. When I'm in the area, we can do it. I'll talk to the roller skating people. I'll record it real quick. Okay.
We'll see what we can do.
Making
but
excuses
at minimum,
like, there's no roller skates.
Yeah.
They're not going to let me do it. You're already like finding objections.
What are you doing? What are you doing for this?
I didn't promise to do anything.
Well,
see?
How convenient.
See?
How convenient.
Well, I mean, if you don't promise things, you can't disappoint anyone. That's always been my motto.
Super grateful. We appreciate you guys being here. The channel's been growing since we started. It's a big milestone for us. We don't take it lightly, and it definitely inspires us to do even more for you guys, to keep the content coming and make it even better, which we're always trying to do. So thank you for that. It means a lot.
I'll get him on the roller skates. Don't worry.
We'll get on the roller skates. Okay, so now the reason we're actually here, Lori Vallow Daybell has recently been found guilty of murdering her 2 children. This is something that was covered heavily on social media. I think a lot of other podcasts were covering it as well. I believe, Stephanie, you're okay with me saying this. We're going to give you the synopsis today. We have a case that we're going to be covering this week and next week that we'll fill you in on when we do that on Friday and on Sunday for YouTube. But we are going to also cover this case as well in its entirety now that it's come to a conclusion. But before we go there, Stephanie, do you want to, for those of the people who are not familiar with this case, do you want to give them their overall? Again, I know you're nervous about this because it's an extensive case, but a brief synopsis of what we have here.
This case was, this has been years in the making because of COVID. This case and so many others kind of were delayed in going through the trial process because we were in the middle of COVID. And Gannon Stauch's murder is another one where his stepmother, Letitia Stauch, was just found guilty for his murder. So finally, all these cases that sort of happened like pre-pandemic and then into the pandemic are being adjudicated, and I could not be happier about it. I tell you what, Lori Vallow Daybell and Letitia Stauch being found guilty and being put away forever was the best Mother's Day present that I could ever have. They are the worst. I covered both of these cases extensively on YouTube as they were happening, so I am looking forward to being able to do a deep dive from beginning till end with Derek on Crime Weekly about Lori Vallow and what she did and Chad Daybell and what he did, because it's wackadoodle bananas. And I think that Derek is going to be surprised at all the twists and turns.
And probably pissed off.
Yeah. Oh, so pissed off. In fact, I was so pissed off writing this Crime Weekly News and going back and like researching it because it all came rushing back to me. And I was like, oh my God, I am so livid at this point. But Lori Vallow Daybell, she's found guilty finally of murdering her 2 children, JJ and Tylee, and also found guilty of conspiring to murder her husband, Chad Daybell's first wife, Tammy Daybell, who was found dead in her Idaho home in October of 2019. And during the trial recently, we just found this out. We all sort of suspected that Lori and Chad were responsible for Tammy's death, but we didn't have confirmation. We didn't know for sure. It was just really a suspicion on our part. But in the opening statement of this trial, prosecutors called Lori a negligent mother who believed that her children were zombies possessed by evil spirits because of her very strong and bizarre religious beliefs. It's just bananas to me how a mother can murder her own children like this. But we have Tylee Ryan, who was 16, and JJ Vallow, who was 7. And like I said, Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's late wife, her death was initially ruled as being due to natural causes. She'd gone to sleep with a headache, and then she just didn't wake up, and they thought, well, she was sick. It must have been something. Like, they couldn't find anything when they examined her, and they didn't do like a full-fledged autopsy, it doesn't look like, probably because of religious reasons. But when the terrifying details of Chad Daybell's beliefs began to surface, and when they found out that he was hooking up with Lori, whose 2 kids were gone and disappeared and nobody could find them, the authorities were like, this is weird. Maybe they're connected. And they began to question Tammy Daybell's death. They had her body exhumed, and it was revealed during the trial in court that the autopsy proved Tammy had died of asphyxiation just a month after her husband, Chad Daybell, had increased the amount of her life insurance policy. And then literally in a snap, after she died, he was married to Lori Vallow. So it's like, could they have waited and made it look less suspicious? Could they? No. Because they think they're untouchable, because they think they're gods. But the children, Tylee and JJ, they were reported missing in November of 2019 by JJ's grandparents, the Woodcocks. Their bodies were later found buried at the home of Chad Daybell. And actually, they only recovered bits and pieces of Tylee's body. It's really horrendous. She'd been burned, and some of her remains were found in a green bucket. So because of the state of her body and her remains, her cause of death is unknown. But we know how JJ died. He was smothered to death with a plastic bag. He had duct tape on his arms and legs. He was bound with duct tape, basically, to prevent him from, stopping his own asphyxiation. And he also had duct tape over his mouth. His mouth had been taped shut. And the fingerprints of Alex Cox, who's Lori Vallow's brother, his fingerprints were found on the plastic covering around JJ's remains, and so was Lori's hair, which means they were probably both present at the time that this child was being suffocated to death with a plastic bag. And I mean, honestly, the story's crazy because Lori Vallow, years ago, she appeared to be your average mother. She was just a normal person doing normal stuff, loving her kids until 2017, when friends and family say she started to read books written by Chad Daybell. And Chad Daybell wrote this Mormon religious fiction books, but they were focused on the apocalypse. And then in 2019, Lori's then husband, Charles Vallow, he told the authorities that his wife was crazy. She'd become unhinged. She thought she was a god preparing for the end days. She started saying her kids were possessed and they were zombies. And she started rating all the people in her life with Chad as being light or dark spirits. So there's an email, and in it says her husband's name, her kids' names, all these people that they know, and then they're rating them on a scale of whether they're light or dark spirits. They're bananas. Charles, her husband, would eventually file for divorce from her crazy ass, but then he would be shot to death by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, in an altercation outside of Lori's home. And Alex Cox, the brother, was never charged. He claimed self-defense, but then he would also end up dead not long after. So it just seemed like everywhere Chad and Lori went, dead bodies followed. And it didn't matter if they were related to them. It didn't matter if they were married to them, brother, sister, nothing. Lori and Chad would take them out if they got in their way, or they would use them and then take them out, which is the case, I think, with Alex Cox. But yeah, it's a bananas case. She's now obviously been found guilty. They haven't sentenced her yet. And I think I read somewhere she could still get the death penalty, even though they haven't in the state, I believe it's Idaho, they haven't put anybody to death there for a very long time, but she could get the death penalty. And if anybody's going to, it should be her.
Completely agree. I hope it happens, obviously. I mean, I definitely want to go over this case because I think a lot of people like myself know the surface level stuff, the stuff that was in the headlines when she was initially arrested, all these things. It's been an ongoing thing for a while. I think with all the cases that come up, you sometimes forget about it as it's going through the process.
Dude, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And all of these people are involved, right? So Lori's brother, Alex, suddenly Lori left, where she was living, and she moved to Idaho like before Chad's wife died. And then her niece, Melanie, moved there too. And Alex Cox, her brother, moved there. And then they suddenly got married to people within like a very short time. And it kind of seemed like it was this weird cult thing. It seemed like they were sort of like starting a cult. And all of these people were involved. And Chad Daybell's got kids too. And they didn't even know what the hell was going on. And literally the police kept going to Lori's house and they were like, where's the kids? And she's like, oh, they're safe. They're fine. Then her and Chad run off to Hawaii and get married. They got to be extradited from Hawaii to come back. And these people are still being like, we have no idea what you're talking about. These kids are fine. They are safe somewhere. You know, you guys are worrying about nothing. This is none of your business. They literally died on that hill. And now they're going to get exactly what they deserve. But like, wait, dude, it's bananas. I hate this woman with a passion. And have you seen pictures of her?
Yeah, I mean, she's all over the internet, obviously. I'll tell you, she's definitely elicited something from you because she's brought out this new phrase, bananas. You said it like 7 times tonight. You know, it's like that's new
really
level of angry.
Unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that you don't know that's a word I've used always.
On this show?
Maybe not. I don't know.
Okay,
I
just
thought
checking.
So I use it all the time.
You're like, it's bananas.
It's bananas, and she's bananas, and literally, I mean, at first she was declared not mentally fit to stand trial, so they had to like take time, I guess, to get her mentally fit to stand trial. But she just is like smiling the whole time. It's like she has no fear. It's like she genuinely believes that something better is waiting for her after this, so she doesn't care what happens to her now. And I can't even believe it. And you hope, like you're hoping like she's got to be out of her mind, because if she's not,
clearly, yeah.
But if she's not, and she did these things with a sound mind, I mean, listen, she's not right in the head, but I don't think she's like clinically insane to the point where she didn't know the difference between right and wrong. Okay, like to me that's a big distinction. You lost it, but you knew the difference between right and wrong. You knew what you were doing was wrong. And to me, like as far as a legal basis goes, that's all that matters. You know, it doesn't matter if you believe in this like wackadoodle stuff. And she believed in a lot of wackadoodle stuff. What matters is you knew legally under the law of the United States what you were doing was wrong, but you didn't care because you said you were following a higher power, higher than the legal system. She knew, and she said that before. Like she knew that it was illegal, that it was wrong, but she doesn't answer to like the law. She answers to a higher power. She's a reincarnation of some amazing like holy person. It's just crazy. She's crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I was just looking it up. Obviously, this happened in Idaho. And as you were saying earlier, she was convicted of 2 counts of first-degree murder. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing here, and this is from a Yahoo article. There's my accent.
Article.
Yeah, this is from a Yahoo article. Basically, there's a defense attorney that they have here who's saying that there's never been case law where they've found a person, they've sentenced them to death in Idaho. So it's more than likely not going to happen. But you never know. It's up to the judge in the situation. So you could have a change, but it doesn't seem very likely when
they've never.
Basically, right here, what I'm reading is Jessica Bublitz, a Boise-based defense attorney, told the Idaho Statesman, which is the people who were writing the article, in a phone interview, it's very uncommon for a judge to strike the death penalty. In fact, it's never happened before in Idaho. Boyce stated he couldn't find any case in the state for which removal of capital punishment had been considered or ruled on, which means there isn't a precedent for this decision in Idaho, according to an audio recording from the March hearing published by East Idaho News. So very unlikely, not impossible, but it is interesting to see that because you do have to ask yourself, if they're convicted of first-degree murder, they're not going anywhere. Obviously, this is a heinous act, and you would think there would be a certain level where the precedents would go out the window. Let's set a new precedent. How about that?
Well, it looks like they did. I just looked this up and it said Idaho is the latest state to permit execution by firing squad. And this was from
holy shit. I did not know
Idaho
that.
Governor Brad Little delivers his 2023 State of the State address at the Idaho State Capitol in Boise in January. A new law allows executions by firing squad if no lethal injection drugs are available. Dude, Lori Vallow getting taken out by firing squad, I would pay to see that. I would pay for a front row seat for that. I would pay. And I would pay extra if they let me hold one of the guns.
Well, okay, that just got dark.
I'm not kidding. I
This got dark.
1,000,000% mean it.
All right, we're gonna get. I think Stephanie needs some food. She's hungry. We'll get her something. It's okay, Stephanie.
The firing squad sounds perfect.
So, as we just said earlier,
Firing squad.
fascinating case. I think everybody who's watching us here probably has already heard about the guilty verdict. We obviously wanted to cover it here. That's what Crime Weekly News. It's more of a soundbite in case you had missed something, in case you weren't familiar with the case. We are going to give it the Crime Weekly treatment. We are going to cover it extensively. As we were saying, we got one case we're going to cover before it over 2 parts. Can we say that case? I think we can, right? I mean, It's written. We're going to cover it right now.
We're recording it tonight, yeah.
So Jacob Landine, you may be familiar with this. This is the little brother of Eric Landine. He's the host of the True Consequences podcast. A while ago, he had put something on Twitter. He was trying to get some additional coverage for his brother's case. I just happened to see it and said, hey, DM me. Talked to Stephanie about it. She was on board. Stephanie's been speaking to Eric as well. So we're going to cover that on Friday. The episode will drop on Friday. That'll be part 1. Part 2 will drop next week. And then we'll go deep into the Lori Vallow case and cover it from beginning to end. So if you're not familiar with the specifics, you will be.
Listen, I don't know what that one lady from Boise was talking about, but they did executed people. They executed.
I think it was a dude.
Oh, really?
I think it was a dude.
Regardless, I don't know what he's talking about, but it says Idaho executed 14 men, all by hanging, before its admission to the Union in 1890, and another 12 men were executed again by hanging between that time and 1957. So, maybe he or she meant,
might be. It says
currently?
Jessica, but then later it said he. But so either way, if you're finding that, I don't know what's going on. But basically, the article, if you want to look it up, it's on Yahoo News. It says Lori Vallow Daybell is guilty of 2 murders. Why Idaho won't pursue the death penalty. Again, this is just an opinion.
And it says the state has imposed the death sentence only 3 times in 10 years, and no defendant has been ordered executed since 2010. So,
okay,
I don't know what they were talking about, but regardless, oh, you know what else? Yo, isn't Idaho where Brian Kohberger will be tried as well?
That is where the murders are. Yeah.
Firing squad, man. Listen, I'm gonna say for the record, I think that execution by firing squad is heinous. Okay, it is archaic. It is horrendous. It is like not what I would normally cheerlead for. Lori Vallow and Brian Kohberger can get it. Okay? That's all. Can we just bring it out for them and then put it away?
I'll tell you what, the Idaho case, and I know we're supposed to be short here. I'm nervous about that case.
I know, and me too.
I'm really nervous about it. So, we're going to wait until all the cards are out on the table and what ends up happening with it, because
I've seen some updates recently that got me a little shook.
Little scary. I mean, I personally, and I think I speak for you. Actually, I won't speak for you. You can weigh in on it, but I personally think he did it. I think there's enough there, but it's not always about what you know. It's about what you can prove. And if there's things that are brought into question, that some certain evidence gets thrown out because of a technicality, we've seen it before, and unfortunately, we'll see it again. So I'm nervous.
I definitely believe he did it. I think that there's no other. There's no other answer.
It's not even to believe. I mean, there's evidence to support it. You know, it puts him there, and there's even more that's come out. I think now they're even saying that there's items that were found possibly at his home.
Items that were found at his home that appear to have blood on them. Bed sheets, pillows, things like that. But they've tested them, but they haven't said. You know, they said presumptive blood, so it looks like blood, and they won't say anything more because this is going to go to trial, and they don't want to throw a wrench in things.
It's probably better they don't say anything.
If the blood matches any of those students,
slam dunk.
Slam dunk. I would hope.
I agree. As long as it can get in. And
but if that dude walks free, I'm leaving. I'm leaving the country, man.
No, that's a rough one, but
that's not right.
I kind of felt like that about the OJ case when you really look into the details of it. I mean, there were witnesses that saw him fleeing the scene of the crime. Like literally almost got in a car accident with him at the intersection around the corner from Nicole's house. He was sweating profusely.
You felt like what? Like you were disappointed?
No, he was 100% the guy. Like there's people that put him there.
He is 100% the guy.
And he walked.
Yeah, but
he walked.
Okay, so the difference for me is OJ had a motive and this was personal. Brian Kohberger just killed those 4 people because he felt like it. It doesn't seem like there was any motive. It doesn't seem like they did anything to him. It just seems like he was like, I want to murder somebody, so I'm going to pull it off.
They say he might have known one of the girls, or he was trying to pursue her.
I mean,
but I get what you're saying.
Possibly, but then why kill the other three? You know, and he was like looking into serial killers, and he was all into like pulling off the perfect crime. So it seems like you're just a disturbed person who just wanted to kill somebody.
Oh,
Whereas
yeah. I mean,
OJ,
he's demented.
OJ's not going to do this again because there's no reason for him to do it. Brian Kohlberger might.
He still walked away. It's still scary, but we'll wait. We'll reserve judgment. I'm hoping for the best in that one, but just to kind of put
the worst.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we appreciate you being here tonight. We appreciate you. Those of you who have been with us since the beginning. We're not trying to undersell it. It's a big day for us. And when I saw the ticker today and it was past 200,000, I was like, first reaction was, shit, I gotta wear a dinosaur costume. The second immediate reaction was,
shit, I gotta wear roller skates.
Yeah, that too. And I was like, we just passed 200,000, which is a lot of people. It's a lot of people. So thank you so much. Stephanie, final words?
No, just thank you so much. We are so appreciative that you guys come here every week to listen to us.
Absolutely. We will see you guys on Friday. Well, you'll see on Sunday if you're only watching on YouTube, but if you're listening, the episode will be out on audio on Friday. That, like I said, it'll be the Jacob Landine case. And then it'll be out on Sunday for those of you who just watch on YouTube. Everyone be safe out there. Have a good night.
Bye.